Hey Waffle Crew, I hope you're all doing great. I'm Mark, and today we're diving into some fresh Reddit tales. If you enjoy these stories, consider smashing that like button, subscribing, and maybe even hitting the notification bell. Let's jump right into our first story. Sending you all tons of love, our first tale comes from a user called Strange Echoes 123, who asks, "Am I the jerk for telling my daughter her grandparents are foolish?" My spouse and I have 3 children. Our youngest, Lily, turned 6 last weekend. Recently, we faced a tough situation at Lily's school. Last year, a new kid joined her class and began harassing her. He'd tease her, call her cruel names, and hide her belongings around the school. On 2 occasions, things got physical. It was a long battle to resolve this because the boy's parents were incredibly difficult and the school's efforts didn't seem to help. Eventually, they warned him of expulsion if he didn't stop targeting Lily. Thankfully, he's left her alone for months now, and she's doing much better. Since this was such a big ordeal, many of our loved ones know about it. Most shared our frustration, but my wife's stepmom, Clara, found it adorable. Even after we explained the boy's actions, she kept saying he probably had a crush on Lily and didn't know how to express it. For some reason, she's obsessed with this idea. Every time the topic comes up, Clara insists we're overreacting and the boy should get another chance. My father-in-law wavers between being upset with the school and agreeing the kid was likely harmless. They never brought this up around the kids, and frankly, my wife and I don't care about their opinions on this, so we didn't dwell on it. We're hosting a birthday bash for Lily this Saturday since my father-in-law has other plans. The day before her birthday, we all went out to a restaurant Lily loves. Toward the end of the meal, Lily was excitedly chatting about her party and which friends were coming. My father-in-law asked if the bully was invited, and before anyone could respond, obviously he wasn't, Clara chimed in, saying it'd be unkind not to invite him since he likes her and would be heartbroken. Lily looked at me and my wife. I said, "Sweetie, don't worry. Grandpa and Clara are being silly. Ignore them." They looked stunned but didn't argue. We said an awkward goodbye and parted ways. On Monday, my father-in-law called. He apologized for what he and Clara said but expected me to apologize too. He felt I went too far by calling them foolish in front of the grandkids. My wife and I have been aligned on this, but yesterday she mentioned she's wondering if we should have handled it privately, especially since we try not to insult people in front of the kids. So, am I the jerk? Edit. I mentioned this in the comments, but I'll add more context about what the bully did. It was mostly verbal. He made up nicknames loosely based on Lily's name and our surname. Once, during art class, she got brown paint on her clothes, and he started calling her Muddy. He'd mock her whenever she spoke in class. The teacher always intervened, but Lily's already shy, and this made it worse. They have weekly toy days at school, and Lily stopped bringing toys because he'd steal or threaten to break them. He'd also hide her backpack, school supplies, or personal items. He always returned them, but he once tore a small hole in one of her stuffed animals, which my wife fixed. The physical incidents happened twice. First, he pushed her off a swing, scraping her knees. The school disciplined him, but it didn't help much. A few weeks later, he shoved gum into her hair during lunch. The teacher saw him grab her head roughly to do it. That got him suspended, and soon after, the school threatened expulsion. I don't have much to say about this boy except that he clearly has behavioral problems his parents refuse to address properly. Most commenters on this post said, "Not the jerk," with a few calling me out for the name calling. It's not ideal, but sometimes you've got to do damage control, and that's what this was. The grandparents were essentially telling Lily to be nice to the kid who hurt her, and I was saying, "Don't listen, they're wrong." Not the best choice of words, but that's the gist. I'm with the dad here. If they're making thoughtless remarks like that, they got called out. Simple as that. Lily's been through enough, and they weren't helping. It was a heated moment, especially after Clara kept saying we were dramatic and the boy deserved another shot despite his actions, like violently grabbing Lily's head to put gum in her hair. Who could sympathize with that kid? I wouldn't if it was my family member being targeted. One commenter said, "Not the jerk. You told Clara to stop, and she tried to derail your kid's birthday by suggesting you invite that awful child. She needs to drop this obsession before she pushes your family away." OP replied, "I'm so glad we didn't have this dinner on Lily's actual birthday. She was upset but felt better the next day." Another said, "Not the jerk. No apology needed. They crossed a line. Bullying isn't cute, and they need to stop saying he likes her or meant no harm. Kids hurt themselves over bullying." OP responded, "Clara's attitude has been maddening. We haven't talked about this kid in months, but she brings him up every time." Another commenter noted, there was probably no other way to shut Clara up. Not the jerk. It's disturbing that she prioritizes a bully over her own granddaughter. Bullying isn't affection. They added, Clara's enabling the kind of toxic behavior men often show toward women. Instead of protecting Lily, she's exposing her to harm. That's wild. OP shared, when we dealt with the boy's parents, they excused his name-calling by saying, all boys act like that with girls. I know that's nonsense, my sons don't, and I never did as a kid. It's disheartening that people enable this. A downvoted comment said, you're the jerk. Calling your father-in-law names in front of your daughter was wrong. They're from another generation. They're mistaken, but so are you. They're your wife's parents and your kid's grandparents. Apologize. OP replied, first, Clara isn't my wife's mom or my kid's grandma. My mother-in-law is alive and well. Second, my father-in-law is in his 60s, not ancient. You can argue I should apologize, but not for those reasons. Another commenter said, Clara downplaying Lily's pain in front of her would be a deal-breaker for me. I wouldn't let anyone near my kids who minimizes their trauma. I'd take a break from Clara. Her comments likely confused Lily. OP added, Lily cried on the way home. We had to reassure her she wasn't being mean to the boy. When asked about the physical incidents, OP clarified, the first time he pushed her off a swing, scraping her knees. The school punished him, but it didn't help. Later, he shoved gum in her hair during lunch, grabbing her head roughly. That led to his suspension and the expulsion threat. Someone asked, what did the school do? OP said, they handled it better than we expected, but the boy was tough to manage. Changing his class, sending notes home, meeting with his parents, none of it worked until they threatened expulsion. Another asked, does Clara have kids? OP replied, no, and my wife and her sister don't see her as a second mom. About a week later, OP updated, thanks for the support on my post. Lily's party went perfectly, and she had a blast with her friends. It's bittersweet watching her grow so fast, but my wife and I had fun, too. We discussed the dinner incident. My wife didn't mind that I called her dad and Clara foolish and didn't think I should apologize. But she worried the kids might see me as inconsistent since we teach them to be kind and avoid insults. So, Friday night, we sat them down. We explained I was upset and trying to protect Lily, but my words weren't kind, and they shouldn't repeat them. I apologized for my language. We also decided how to handle my father-in-law and Clara. I wanted them to apologize to Lily before I'd speak to them again, and my wife agreed. After the party, she texted her dad. The party was great. About the birthday dinner, OP won't apologize. Clara has no right to tell Lily how to feel about the boy who tormented her for months, and neither do you. I'll call tomorrow and you'll apologize to your granddaughter. If Clara wants to stay in the kids' lives, she will too. If she mentions that boy again, we'll rethink her role. No debate. I agreed with the text. They argued briefly, but he gave in. I offered to apologize for peace, but my wife said no. Both apologized to Lily on Sunday. We're unsure about Clara, but my father-in-law seemed genuine. We're distancing ourselves from Clara until at least my eldest son's birthday in October. My father-in-law loves the kids, but can be odd. He was overprotective of his daughters growing up, but calls us dramatic about our kids. I never had strong feelings about Clara, but her handling of Lily's situation has changed my view of her. On another note, the bully's mom found my wife on Instagram and messaged her, upset that her son wasn't invited to the party. My wife reminded her of the expulsion threat. No reply since. I didn't expect much from posting here, but I'm glad even those who thought I was wrong agreed Lily's well-being comes first. That's what matters most. This is my only update. Thanks, everyone. A commenter said, glad it worked out. As for the bully finding out about the party, mess around and face the consequences. If his parents didn't let him act cruelly, this wouldn't be an issue. OP replied, his parents excused everything until the consequences got serious. My daughter once defended herself physically and my son yelled at him to protect her. The parents even opposed moving him to another class. Another said, I'm glad you taught Lily that abusive peers don't like her. That mindset is insane. I'm 60 and hated hearing it as a kid. OP responded, my wife and I hated it too. Hearing that the kid tormenting Lily was just a lovesick boy was infuriating. Someone asked, does Clara know the bully's parents? OP said, doubtful. We never shared last names, and they're not involved with the school. The boy's parents have common first names. Another commenter noted, it's tough seeing your kid go through this, and the parents enabling it makes it worse. I'm glad your kid stood up for Lily. OP replied, "It's hard for my sons to see their sister called names and not act. They're older than Lily and the bully, so I'm glad they didn't get physical, but I'm proud they defended her." A final comment said, "Why would the bully's parents care about Lily's party? They're unhinged." OP responded, "They didn't parent him until the expulsion threat. The mom's message repeated the same excuses from our school meetings. It didn't surprise me. I wondered if Clara knew the bully's family, given how she kept defending him and calling it cute. What do you all think of this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now for our next story, titled, I, 29 million, crushed my wife's 28 million heart. How do I save our marriage? My wife and I have been married for 4 years and together for 6. I adore her deeply. But recently I developed a fixation on a female coworker. I didn't cheat and kept things strictly professional. I saw it as a harmless crush but felt guilty and needed to process it. 2 months ago, I posted about her on a forum, not Reddit. I found support there, and it helped me understand crushes in long-term relationships. A month ago, I came home to find my wife had printed my post. She confronted me and caught off guard. I couldn't explain well. I just apologized. She read the post aloud, crying. I can't share it fully, but I wrote that this woman was a ray of sunshine, the reason I enjoyed work, that I longed to hold her and know her scent, that I dreamed of her often and sometimes pictured her while lying in bed. These were private thoughts, like something I'd write in a journal. I never imagined my wife would see it. It was just a fantasy. Since then, she's barely spoken to me. She won't discuss it, avoids eye contact, and moved to the guest room. She said she's saving for a divorce and told me not to hope, that I'm free to pursue this woman. I get why she's hurt, but it's just a crush, not comparable to the love and history we share. She said she's never felt this way about another man and that I betrayed her. She won't stay with someone who pines for another woman. I offered to switch jobs, but she said I'd still dream of her. She's completely shut me out. What can I do? Sorry for any errors. I'm stressed and not a native English speaker. Someone asked, "Have you found a new job? What have you done to show your wife she's your priority?" OP replied, "She won't let me talk to her or touch her. Sometimes she leaves the room when I enter. I tried getting her favorite flowers and wrote a card, but she ignored them. I'm job hunting, but when I told her, she said not to bother since she's leaving. In this economy, I can't risk unemployment, especially if divorce is coming." A commenter, Sunny Pancakes, said, "There's a harmless crush, and then there's wanting something to happen. Your wife knows this, everyone knows this, and you should too. You wrote about holding this woman intimately. It's not just the crush, it's that you wanted something more, and that broke her heart. Also, if you wanted those thoughts private, why post them online?" They added, "She's not just hurt by the crush, she's devastated because the person she trusted most was fantasizing romantically about someone else. Posting that online instead of handling it privately or in therapy? I see why she feels this way." 5 months later, OP updated, "I forgot about this post but want to update to maybe help others avoid my mistakes. Reading what I wrote now makes me cringe. It's absurd I felt that way about another woman. I said I'd imagine her in bed, but losing my wife's presence was torture. I took her for granted until I nearly lost her. I took advice and worked to win her back. First, I found a new job, which took a month but landed me a similar role elsewhere. I took on extra chores and she stopped ignoring me but would glare and move on. I tried flowers, but she let them wilt. Her love language is physical touch, but I didn't dare try. I realized the post's content, what I wrote about this woman, hurt her deeply. I tried talking, but she stayed closed off. So I started writing her letters, leaving them under her pillow. At first, I apologized for posting, for not ending the crush sooner, for making her feel less important, for not changing jobs earlier, for causing her to sleep in the guest room, and for her pain and stress. Then I wrote love letters. How much I cherish her. How the crush couldn't compare to our deep love. I was criticized for saying I loved her because of our history, but I meant our bond has grown stronger over time. 5 years ago, I loved her, but now I'd give her my kidney without hesitation. No fleeting crush could match that. I don't know this coworker personally, but I've seen my wife's worst, and my love endures. I wrote about her beauty, her growth as a person, how grateful I am for her, how I miss her stories, her laughter at my bad jokes, her voice. After 3 weeks of daily letters, she responded with her own. She wrote how my crush shattered her, made her feel invisible. How I never spoke such loving words before the letters. How she hated me but also loved and missed me. Her letter showed her pain. I cried, went to her, and we locked eyes. She cried, we held each other, and she started talking again, softening. The fear of losing our marriage shook us both. Now we're mostly back to normal, and I feel closer to her. We still write letters, boosting our emotional connection. I make a point to show my love. I'm grateful she gave me a second chance and moved past the crush. We've had a couple of fights, but she hasn't brought it up or held it against me. The issue wasn't just the crush, but how I handled it and my lack of affection compared to what I wrote about the other woman. I'm optimistic we'll get through this. We're starting couples counseling after our vacation to ensure we're solid. A commenter, Smiley Tooth, said, "It's great you're trying so hard. Keep it up even after you've fully won her back. I'd have divorced you immediately, but I'm glad it's working out." OP replied, "Thanks. I realize I wasn't investing enough in our marriage before. I won't stop." Another, Dragon Rider 22, said, "Save those letters. When you fight or forget how much you love her, reread them to remind yourself." One more said, "I'd give anything to see my late wife again for a moment. Treasure her and don't mess up again." Comments were mixed. Some doubted it would last, others praised OP's effort. What do you all think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, engaging with these stories, and showing your love and support. Your time means everything to me. See you in the next one. Take care and much love.